Hi guys! In this video I'm going to explain what type of running surface is best to train on when you've got Achilles pain like Achilles tendinopathy or Achilles tendonitis. Now my name is Marika. I'm one of the physios from treatmyachilles.com, which is a specialist online service where you can get physiotherapy treatment for your Achilles tendon pain via video consultations. Now if you want to know more about how this service works, check out, there's a link in the description of this video, but you can also just go to treatmyachilles.com or feel free to message me if you've got any questions. Now, I'm going to discuss three headings in this video. The first is going to be about just a quick recap about how the Achilles tendon functions, because then you'll understand why different surfaces can influence it. Secondly, we're going to have a look at why softer surfaces can sometimes cause a problem. And then thirdly, we'll take a look at what surface you should be training on or could be the best for it. Now, interestingly enough, so whenever I treat runners with a variety of injuries, they always tend to think that running on softer surfaces are better for their body because it doesn't give you so much shock, etc., etc. But the research is showing that when it comes to Achilles tendons, softer surfaces can actually cause more strain. Now let me explain why. And to understand that better, just let's have a look at how the Achilles is formed again. So that's a picture of your calf muscle complex. So you've got your gastrocnemius, which is the outer layer of the big calf muscles. Then underneath that, you've got the soleus muscle, which also runs lower down. And both of those attaches into the Achilles tendon. And the Achilles tendon attaches onto your heel bone. Now, they work as a complex together to propel you forwards when you run. And the Achilles tendon itself acts like a spring. So when you hit the ground, it stores some of that force, that energy that's created, and then it recoils and it propels you forward. And what the research has shown is that 50% of the forward propulsion force when you run is created through the calf complex. Now, of course, the Achilles tendon and the calf doesn't act in isolation. All the other muscles up and down the leg influences it as well. And you will understand why that's important when I come on to the next bit. Okay, so why should softer surfaces cause trouble? Now, what the research is showing is that when you run on soft surfaces like a running track or sand, it actually places more strain on the Achilles tendon and it can increase your risk of developing something like Achilles tendinopathy. Bizarrely enough, or counterintuitive, running on tarmac and hard roads seems to have a small protective function to the Achilles tendon, so it doesn't strain it that much. And to understand that better, I want you to think about your whole leg as a spring. Now, what scientists can do when they analyze your running and your gait is they look at how stiff your leg is when you run. Now, when I talk about stiffness, one tends to think straight joints and things. But that's not quite the case. So the stiffness in a leg when you're running is a combination of how much your muscles can contract, so how strong they are, the range of motion your joints move through, and the composition of your ligaments, so your genetics, whether your ligaments are very lax or whether they are stiffer, naturally stiffer. Now, if you can imagine your leg acting as a spring, so as it hits the surface, the energy is stored and then it's released and you're being propelled forwards. Now, think of that spring. If you bounce it on a hard surface, it bounces nice and high and easily. If you bounce that same spring on a softer surface, you have to throw it much harder to get it to go to the same height, if you can even get it to go to the same height. And interestingly enough, what researchers find when they make runners run on softer surfaces is that they try to compensate for the energy that's lost through the softness of the surface by increasing the stiffness in their whole leg. And they do that through contracting their muscles more strongly. They keep their joints slightly stiffer, that it doesn't go through such a big range of movement. Now, all of this is not, you can't think about it. You can't think, okay, I'm going to run on stiff legs, because you'll cause yourself a whole lot of injuries. This is something that the brain calculates by itself on a subconscious level. What they think happens at the Achilles tendon then is because of these increased muscle forces and the range of movement of the joints that's changed, it causes more strain on the Achilles tendon and therefore more microtrauma in the tendon as you're running. And eventually predisposes you to things like Achilles tendon overuse injuries like Achilles tendinopathy. I will also add to that you can think about it when you run on sand specifically. You tend to go into the sandy surface a little bit. So your tendon will have to work through a larger range of motion. And especially if you're not used to that, that can cause it to overstrain and get more microtrauma than what it should, causing an injury eventually. So what surface should you be training on? Now, from the research, it seems that you should be going for harder surfaces like tarmac when you're training if you've got Achilles tendon pain or if you're coming back from rehabilitation from Achilles pain. But what I will say is every person is different and their injury is slightly different. So try harder surfaces, but whenever you try something, be quite critical about it. So think about how your tendon has responded over the last few days. Do your training session, then see how it feels afterwards. Remember, it can take 24 hours for a tendon to show whether it's flared up or not. And then try a softer surface like grass or something and see how it reacts to that. If you find that it's massively better to run on softer surfaces for you, go for it. That may be right for you. But if you want to go according to research, then likely the harder surfaces will be the safer options for you. Now remember, if you need any help with getting back to running after Achilles pain, or you've got Achilles pain at the moment and you need a treatment plan to get it better, then you're more than welcome to contact us at treatmyachilles.com. We do full-on video assessments, see you move and everything in front of the camera, and we take a detailed history of your injury as well as your training program first, so that we can adjust all of that we can really create a program that will help your tendon get better. Have a look in the comments, there'll be links in there, and I've also written a blog post about this, so if you want the references for the research that I've talked about, they are all in the blog post. Take care.